Happy Friday, everyone. Tom Grisafi, Ag Bull Media, Ag Bull Trading. I'm down here in Valparaiso, Indiana. I want to thank my good friends at Nesvik Trading. That's where I partnered with Ag Bull Trading they're down in Memphis and they're in Nashville. If you're ever in Memphis, you're ever in Nashville, come visit us. But you're not here to talk about me. Enough about me. Let's bring in the host, the guest, the hostess with the mostest. However they say it, Mr. Jim Wiesemeyer. Mr. Jim Wiesemeyer, we have a lot of stuff to
A
talk
busy
about.
week,
Yeah.
week. Late breaking news too, all that stuff.
All right. So virtual hug. Let's get started. The stage is yours,
Okay,
sir.
sure.
All right. Let's hit it. Let me see here. President Trump's talking to China. Maybe that meeting's still going on. Trump Z meeting. What are you seeing there, my friend?
Well, I'll tell you, they did have the call. It started at 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern time, and they're trying to stabilize their relationship, which is geopolitically a little frazzled of late because they're the two powers in the world. But the good news out of this is that apparently they set the stage to meet personally at the APEC summit, which
Really?
goes on, in South Korea, October 31st to November 1. And importantly, Beijing issued a formal state visit invitation to Trump. And you know how he likes to have all the pomp and circumstance of the visit. You saw that earlier this week in the UK. And the preparations for that, I've been told, is in the final stages. But from an ag perspective, we don't know yet if they specifically talked about ag, but the South China Morning Post, that's why you got to monitor Asian papers too, earlier this week said that they're in the final stages, U.S. and China, of new trade agreement, including potential bulk purchase deals such as Boeing jets and, for agriculture, U.S. soybeans. Now, again,
Really?
the trade will say, well, how soon can this happen? A trader wants it right away. Well, no, it's going to probably take near the end of the year and things like that. But, it's good news if they can bring back U.S. soybeans with an enforceable new phase 2 or whatever they're going to call this trade agreement. Bottom line, Tommy, is that we have some positive steps in the right direction.
Yeah. And when we started recording, this might be our 5th or 6th episode, you were very clear on saying it's going to be to the end of the year or next year. China can last quite a while without our beans. They're going to South America, and they may have to come over here. The explosive thing, Jim, if folks want to hear a bullish scenario, if South America has a production problem, buckle up, Buttercup. These beans will go a lot higher. China will have to come over here and sign a deal, and Trump can make a big deal out of it and everything else. But today,
absolutely, and watch your preposition by the U.S. trade. If they sense that this trade agreement is going to take effect, they're going to want to get a book on, that, Tommy, as far as the cash market, things like that, and shipping. I don't want to get too complex on the program, but I wrote a couple stories this week on the beginning in the not too distant future. The U.S. is going to assess Chinese-owned or Chinese-built vessels coming in. Now, that could have been a big negative for soybeans if we do have an agreement, but there's an exemption for below 80,000 deadweight tonnage, DWT.
Okay.
And most of the soybeans fit in that category. So, but not all. We've got a number of U.S. farm exports that would go, corn and that, to China, that would be in those larger vessels. So, but that's one for the future to look into, because this may be part of the trade agreement that China gets the Trump people to waive that fee on U.S. farm sales to China. Yeah, I can't say the 100%, but I know that'll be up for discussion.
Right. And if people want to get your newsletter, because you're hinting here that you allegedly have this newsletter, but you've written all these stories already, right? They can get them if they send you an email.
Absolutely. Yeah. I do it every day, as you well know, sometimes 2-3 times a day with individual items. But my morning one went out, about 9:05 Eastern time today. It's called Updates. And just email me. And I've got a number of viewers and listeners to the podcast here have already asked me to it, and they should be getting it. If they don't, let me know. Yeah.
Oh, very good. Yeah. And on that top of that newsletter, you keep this show, Wiesemeyer's Perspectives, on the audio link where they can go to Apple, Spotify, Buzzsprout, wherever.
Yes.
And you also have the YouTube link, and you do other content too. So, all right, let's keep moving along. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Short time to get there. I am keeping an eye on my phone for any breaking news here, but tariff relief, I think we talked about this, or we're going to talk about it.
Well, yeah, it's, and I've said consistently, and now lawmakers are starting to say it. And Rollins, Secretary Rollins, said in an interview with the Financial Times, yesterday I think it was, that yes, they're going to have a farmer aid package. They're really still looking into, Tommy, how they're going to fund it. Now you'll recall in the first Trump administration that they had trade mitigation payments that came out of the Commodity Credit Corporation, CCC Charter Act. Now that's only down to billions of dollars right now. It has a borrowing authority of $30 billion, and Congress always replenishes it at the end or the end of the fiscal year, which we're at, or the beginning of a new fiscal year that starts October 1. So that'll eventually go back to $30 billion. But I think what they're looking at is maybe another funding mechanism, and there's two. There's this tariff revenue, but the problem there, Tommy, is that the Supreme Court is going to rule either late this year or early next year on the legality of Trump's tariffs. So all the billions of dollars, I think they've already taken in $190 billion.
Wow.
Even in Washington, that's a lot of money. Yeah. I think that they're going to be reticent to tap that until they get that Supreme Court ruling. That, again, will come as early as December, more likely early next year. Although there already is some tariff money in there from other trade tariff revenues that's on the up and up, that are not being challenged, 301 actions and things like that. And that's a chunk of change. And by law, USDA gets 30% of that tariff funding. Now, and that's Section 32. I'm telling you, lawmakers ought to look into the rewriting of the use of those Section 32 funds. I suggested that in an item I wrote this morning. In other words, give USDA a little more leeway in accessing those funds. And for farmer aid. But bottom line for the listeners, it's not a question in my mind. The hurt in agriculture is so significant that bipartisan support for another farmer aid package. Now, I know some listeners out there are going to, some, not all, and I don't, not the majority, are going to say, boy, we want trade, not aid.
We want trade, not aid, right?
Trade, not aid. This town understands that, but it's going to take a while to get these controversial trade policy changes of Trump underway and implemented. And until then, you've got a cash flow drain out there. But I hear the listeners who say, let the market work. Well, sometimes the market, again, Tommy, can be pretty brutal.
And real quick, upon recording this here, it's Friday afternoon. Soybeans are up 2 cents, trading 10.40. So if there's breaking news before work, after work, whatever this weekend, note that upon recording this, D's corn's at 4.26, and no, beans are up too. So beans were up a lot more last night. Hey, there's been a tweet storm, Jim. Secretary Rollins, I don't know who the hell's putting this stuff out for, but it don't make sense compared to the futures and options I trade. These, go ahead, stage is yours. You know what I'm going to say.
On Taiwan?
Just anything, any of these.
Well, Rollins put out a tweet on X that she said Taiwan committed to $10 billion in U.S. ag purchases over the next 4 years, and that would cover soybeans, corn, wheat, and beef. Well, let's be blunt on this one. It was a hyper statement. It was overstatement because Taiwan purchases that anyway. So I just wish she wouldn't hype those things as big and important news, because it's important to ag, but they would have purchased it anyway.
Yeah. And she put out this tweet about wheat. We're selling record amounts of wheat, and wheat's at multi-year lows. When you when you put this little oomph on there, this is what America First winning looks like. There's parts of the country that wheat almost has a 3 in front of it, Jim. A 3. That is not winning, my friend.
It's not winning, and that's why she's got to be a little more sensitive to the market. Well, ag secretaries typically are not market people, and that's when they get in trouble. And also the president sometimes. You'll recall, what was it, last week? President Trump said, we got to do something about the cattle, the beef price.
I knew you were going to do that,
we're going to have to teach him the cattle cycle.
Yeah.
You can't turn that beef around like they did the egg market, Tommy.
No.
And also one of his actions is contributing to higher hamburger prices because he put additional 50% tariffs on Brazil. So I think he needs briefed on the beef industry.
Yeah. Let's move on to this tweet here. Secretary Rollins, talk to me about this one. All the costs going up.
Well, she said that they're also looking into fertilizer. She specifically mentioned fertilizer and other inputs. Well, what are they going to do? It'll be curious. They're going to look into maybe the concentration. I don't know. There's not. We get most of our inputs now in the chemical area outside of this great country, because I remember in the 80s, through our overregulation, we drove most of the fertilizer industry that was in Florida big time away to Eastern Europe, Russia, Ukraine, etc.
Canada.
And Canada. And I think what's going to happen, this is just a shot across the bow, I think that they're going to huff and puff but not do anything, to tell you the truth.
Is that right?
Yeah, I don't see them going in and because if we would have had that, the Biden administration would have done it. If there's
of course, everyone wants to look good any chance they get.
Yeah,
right?
I think that, well, they were anti-regulatory, concentration people. But if that didn't happen in the Biden administration, it's not going to happen in the Trump administration. They know that the fertilizer usage, cost are a problem. And here's the complexity of input prices, Tommy. Whenever you have an aid program or an increase in reference prices under Title I, those almost are built in within 3 to 6 months of input prices and cash rents and farmland prices. So it's just that's normal progress. So how do you deal with that? How do you deal with it?
Now this guy, he could be he's your age, maybe 1 year older. What do you know about this guy, Chuck Grassley?
Chuck is, I know him quite well. His daughter, Wendy Speckerman, used to work at Pro Farmer when I worked there.
Is that right?
80s. Oh, yeah, Wendy Speckerman. So I got to know Mr. Grassley, still call him Mr. Grassley, quite well. He's heard about a company that it says here that will no longer make HFCS because of what he calls false MAHA claims. And you've got the HFCS.
What industry. Is HFCS?
High fructose corn syrup.
Just the abbreviation.
Yeah. And they're getting hit, and their association leadership, I can't think of his name, Bodie, I think, is really coming out saying, not only will this significantly hurt the HFCS industry, it'll hurt corn producers. So yeah, it's a live issue, and that brings us again into the implications and the potential dramatic market impacts of the Make America Healthy Again issues in the future. What with the coming focus on the highly processed
colors,
color, the dyes, and
the middle of the supermarket,
the middle of the supermarket, and they've already extended. They extended this week. HHS and FDA and USDA. They extended the comment period on defining ultra processed foods. So it's going to be later, once we get the definition, then you're going to see the real impact of RFK Jr., who heads up the MAHA, of what he's going to do under the highly processed foods. And the American Soybean Association is nervous about it. They're saying, look, edible oil is safe, it's healthy, things like that, but they're worried about what this new definition may say on processed meats and things like that. So that's one that we'll continue to talk about in the weeks and months ahead, Tommy.
I was just thinking, I'm going to make a funny. If I asked you to write down how many acronyms you know, 3-letter and 4-letter, how many? I know you know FBI, CIA, NFA, CFTC, FCC. We'll talk a little bit about the FCC here at the end of this show.
Alphabet soup time. It could be a book. It could be a whole book.
Plead the fifth or drink the fifth, whatever you got to do. Plead the fifth or drink the fifth. NCGA Pool, Mr. Jim Wiesemeyer, NCGA Pool. Is this a betting service or what? Is this a new app? What do we got here?
Yeah, let's show some of their charts because I think it reflected what's going on. 80% of farmers, when you do the maybe and the yes, are pointing to what they say is a farm crisis, and that's really cash flow. That was the one thing. We knew that. I think most of us are ready, but this just visibly showed. It was a survey, I think Farm Journal did it, of 1,000 farmers. But let's go to the next one.
Yes, sir, Mr. Wiesemeyer.
Okay. Farm economy concerns are evident. Look they're not only concerned, they're very concerned. And again, I think that you talk to a producer and you're hearing that wherever you go with the row crop. And 3 changes that they're going to look at to survive in some cases. And look at that. Farm machinery, and other aspects. Let me tilt this down. Reduce fertilizer application. Historically, that's what farmers do, Tommy. That's what farmers do. So, it's awfully hard to justify a farm equipment purchase when you're looking just to survive in many cases. And I remember the 1980s that were the depression in agriculture. It's like wet cement on my forehead. We're not as bad as that because we've got better support mechanisms.
Land values are higher. The debt to income ratio, the amount of if you look at the state of Iowa, I do a monthly podcast with my friend Jim Rothermick from the Land Talker. You probably know him, but he charts land prices. The amount of widows or older men and women who have paid off ground in Iowa, it's just different. There's been
absolutely
some people are hurting very bad, and I know we're going to catch a lot of shit for this, for saying like it ain't that bad. There's a bunch of old widows who own a bunch of ground. There's the haves and have-nots right now in agriculture, and we have better safeguards. And by the way, speaking of catching some stuff, you should see the comments on the video. They're getting angrier by the week, but hey, whatever. Be careful what you say, because we've learned this week words have consequences here, and we'll talk about that letter. NGFA study. I don't know what's going on here. NGFA
National Grain and Feed Association. To me, this is feel-good news because it shows the positive impact and the importance the grain and feed industry makes to the U.S. economy. And this is why, look at the numbers here, the number of jobs, the amount of taxes coming in from the industry, the overall impact on the U.S. economy. This is why Congress and the White House looks upon the agriculture sector, not just the row crop producers, but the meat industry, the affiliated industries. It's a strategic industry, Tommy. Food is food security. And this is why they do justify economic aid and disaster aid when they think it's needed. And I think this is what this says. Now, you can go through this, you can Google it, NGFA survey, and they have it by state. So if you individual state, they show it by each individual state. But to me, it's a feel-good survey because it shows the importance that most farmers know, but outside of that, in this town, they need to hear it.
Absolutely. Let's look at this this countdown to shutdown? What are you hearing there?
Here we go again. Now today, the House is first going to now the Speaker Mike Johnson, Republican from Louisiana, said yesterday on Fox News that the votes were there in the House to pass what they call a clean continuing resolution through November 21st. So they have more time to do individual appropriation bills. But the Senate on the left, you see Chuck Schumer and another Democratic leader, Dick Durbin from Illinois. Now, Chuck Schumer caught, holy heck, the last time they had a continuing resolution where the Democrats, at least the activist in the Democratic Party, said you should have gotten something for those Democratic votes. That's where the potential for a shutdown exists, because the Senate, after the House passes their continuing resolution, CR, we call it, stopgap spending measure, it'll go to the Senate. Now, they want to take off next week, Tommy. They're going to vote on two bills. They're going to vote on the clean Republican approach or a Democratic alternative that has a couple of add-ons that are Democratic priorities in the Obamacare provisions and things like healthcare provisions, and that won't fly either. The key is, are they going to shut down the government? And if they do, then how do they come back? You know, how long will it happen? And even if they do pass the CR, Tommy, the next one coming in November, remember I said the House is November 21, you up the odds of a government shutdown then, because the Republicans are going to have to deliver to some of their Republican activists in the House side. What I'm signaling is that the odds now are going above 50% for a potential shutdown. I hate that. Either short term or longer term after November. What's the impact on agriculture? That could impact the next crop production report. You know, if you don't have the services. However, we know Trump is different than any president I've covered in 50 years. He may have more flexibility to bring government people back than some people think. So watch that shoe to fall if we do have a government shutdown. I just think it's pure politics. They shouldn't shut down the government. We know that they pay the government workers when they come back anyway. It's just Americans. This is why Congress, both political parties, have very, very low approval ratings.
That's not good. So did we cover this part? The Senate approves nominees, or we're going to?
No, we did not. Joe, that's good news for USDA. Three important undersecretaries, FSA, Fordyce, Dudley Hoskins, and Scott Hutchins, and in the regulatory arena. The impact here is that Rollins can't do it all. She's got her deputy secretary, a very good guy, Steve.
I like him. Yeah.
Yeah, very good, very articulate. But she, Fordyce, especially at Farm Service Agency from Missouri, so he knows agriculture.
Yeah, I met him. I like him.
Very good guy. Knows his stuff. Knows the importance of the county offices. Why you shouldn't cut staff there. If anything, that they need more people in the county offices. So, bottom line, these are all skilled people, and Rollins increasingly is getting her staff together. So that's good because she's out and about selling agriculture, which she should. And I've always said the deputy secretary, Vaden in this case, the deputy secretary is the glue that holds USDA together, because they're typically at their office most of the time, and they work with Congress on budget issues, etc. So she's got her team in place, and we already know how aggressive Rollins is. And
Hmm.
she went over to the UK with Trump, showing you the importance of agriculture in that framework. Now, no longer a framework, it's an agreement with the Kingdom. We're
UK.
trying to hear, Tommy, what if additional ethanol sales were made or biofuel sales were made while she was over there, because she took a number of biofuel company officials from the U.S. over with her, and we're waiting for a readout on if any new developments on that. But it's good news for corn-based ethanol.
Okay. Hey, Jim, we got a little bit of breaking news, a little bit of price action. While we were speaking, soybeans went from up 2 to up 9. Jojo, if you got anything, pop on or let us know or text me. But a little positive action here in the grain market. Corn just traded up 6, soybeans up 9. It could just be a false alert, but we'll see where they close with that. Back
Yeah,
to the show.
I just think, and futures markets are anticipatory. To me, I will be shocked if by the end of the year we don't have a new ag trade agreement with China, and you have to position for that. And I think that's what the trade is probably doing, let alone the companies that's going to do the business. So watch number one, your unknown destinations in the next
Okay.
month or so for soybeans. Two, watch your freight rates. Watch your freight rates. That'll tell you a lot right there.
Well, those in the know will know, and they'll get it booked up. All right, here's a motley crew FOMC meeting, another 4-letter acronym.
Federal Open Market Committee. And we finally got the first cut in about a year. Yeah,
About a
first
year,
cut
yeah.
since December 2024. They only cut it 25 basis points, but I'm not going to complain. At least they cut it. Where the interest rate range, the Fed range now is 4 to 4.25. Now, Jerome J. Powell, who's a smart guy, he's just dumb when it comes to interest rates. They should be lower now. The labor market is weakening, he said. So that was the signal for further cuts yet this year. I think they signaled in what they call their dot map, Tommy.
Yeah, the dot plot. Yeah.
October, another cut in October, and then another one in December. And the trade thinks either 2 or 3 cuts next year. Now, that's financing needs for farmers next year. So their operating loans are going to go down, and that's a good thing. But the overall economy, he's watching that labor market. He knows that since our border is secure right now, you don't have near the labor pool coming
That
into
is
the
true.
United
Yeah.
States as it was. So that's reflecting in the in the tight labor market now, and the rise, probably continued rise in the unemployment rate.
Okay, we're into the lightning round. Then we're going to tell people how to get a hold of you, and we're going to talk about a few things I'm up to. USDA CRP announcement, sir.
Oh yeah, we had a big one. They're getting close, Tommy, to the maximum. They announced this week that just shy of 1.8 million acres were submitted during the various CRP sign-up efforts, and producers submitted a little over 2.6 million acres. That's in the general, the continuous, and the grasslands sign-up.
Okay.
A little over 1.6 million in grassland sign up. 810,000 or so of those were accepted, and just shy of 256,000 were submitted during the general sign up, with just over 203,000 accepted. Bottom line, interest in the continuous sign up exceeded USDA's expectations. And
Really?
so that's why they had to throttle back, I think, of some of the eligibility and prioritization. Now, the CRP currently, the total enrollment stands at 25.8 million acres. Now, there's a maximum by law of a 27 million acre cap.
Okay.
So that means, looking ahead, Tommy, they're not going to be able to accept and offer many more new CRP rounds. That's the bottom line there.
So we're about capped out
We're
on
there.
being
Yes.
capped out.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's another one. If you have a closing of the government, Congress extended CRP authority beyond the September 30th expiration of the 28th Farm Bill, unless they do. they can't approve new contracts or revisions that increase CRP acres. So that's another important element in this continuing resolution debate. Bottom line, a chunk of acres are in that CRP, but it's getting close to the statutory limit of 27 million acres.
I don't know where you keep all this in your head, that little hard drive. You had AI in your head before AI and hard drives were cool. We got 3 more slides, and then we're going to tell people how to get a hold of you, tell people how to get a hold of
Sure.
me, and we're going to ask people to click like and subscribe to the show. And I know you've been, we're having a little success with this show. SCOTUS on tariffs.
That's the biggie, because you'll recall earlier in this podcast we said, they're going to be reticent to tap the $190 billion already that's in there from these new Trump tariffs
Okay.
until the Supreme Court of the U.S., that's SCOTUS, rules on the legality, because it's moved up to the Supreme Court. Big, big, big decision. In my podcast today, Tommy, I go through, I hate to talk to lawyers, but I talked to about 5 lawyers about this earlier this week, and I had to digest all the stuff they said. I'd rather cover many other things other than that. However, the bottom line is the majority of lawyers think that Trump exceeded his legal authority. However, the sharpest ones, I think, are saying, wait a minute. It's not an open and shut case, which means, when are we going to get this decision? They're going to hear oral arguments beginning November the 5th. So, and then after they hear the oral arguments, how long does it take? It could take until early next year for a Supreme Court decision. But it's big because that goes under Trump's authority on tariffs. Now, we have a conservative tilted Supreme Court, and they typically have not wanted to weaken the executive branch authority. This is murky area here, so it'll be very curious on their eventual determination, because if Trump's tariffs are ruled illegal, think of the process that they have to go through of returning
that would be
all
something
that
else.
money. Yeah.
Do you think that'll happen, Jim?
My bias, and then I'm not cocky on this, is I think the Supreme Court are going to rule them legal. But if they don't, then the Supreme Court could say, from this juncture forward, okay, they could do that, so they don't have to go back and refund. So we'll see. But that's how important this is.
I want to go back a few minutes. You said, oh, this might happen, that might happen. For folks out there, there's these betting services. I'm not encouraging you to do it. And the compliance officer is probably like, what are you talking about? But these betting services are actually getting approved through the CFTC when you look at these things. So if you wanted to, I'm not suggesting it, but if you wanted to bet on the government shutting down or not shutting down, there's a service that does that, right?
Wow.
And it's interesting. All right, we got that was a 6-letter acronym, by the way, on the SCOTUS. We're going down to 5-letter acronyms.
Waters of the U.S. We need a revised definition, and my sources are telling me it could come soon.
Really?
Now, you'll recall on an earlier podcast, I listed as one of the stars in the cabinet of the Trump 2.0 administration, the EPA administrator, Zeldin.
Oh, hold on, but wait.
Hey, we got him. Wow. Now,
big shout out to
that
our
is a good one.
Producer Dave. He's
Absolutely.
taking names. Yeah.
He is the most ag-friendly EPA administrator I've ever seen in my since Nixon started the EPA when he was president. I was in town then too. But I didn't think I'd ever say in one sentence an ag-friendly EPA administrator, which means in this case, WOTUS, I think agriculture will finally get a realistic definition of waters of the United States that won't pull in farmers into legal battles fighting the EPA because of the waters of the U.S. onerous rules and regulations. That's my bottom line on that one, Tommy. Good news is coming.
Dicamba.
Oh my goodness. There's another one. I met through the suggestion you gave a couple podcasts ago, a group of North Dakota, I'll say farmers, even though they were here for a corn producer fly-in. I had dinner with them Wednesday night at one of my favorite restaurants, Trattoria El Alberto.
I hope they bought.
They did buy.
Wow,
They did buy.
Nice.
And I drink agriculture's crop. So, and I had
like
an Uber.
So what did you learn?
So, yeah, well, I learned from them many things because they had talked to Senator Hope, that North Dakota.
Yeah, I love John
Hoven,
Hogan, yeah.
and Kramer, and they were complimentary on both of them. But one of the producers turned to me and he said, "What's going to happen with dicamba?" So I told him, I said, I will do some research.
What'd you find out?
Today, EPA is pushing to reapprove dicamba despite the previous legal setbacks. And 2 months ago, EPA signaled its intent to unconditionally register 3 new dicamba pesticides for over-the-top usage on soybeans and cotton crop. Now I had, Syngenta, BASF, and Bayer. We all want to sell those new products next growing season because they're constricted. They were constricted in 2025. I've got a lot more of this in my daily update, but the bottom line is, they're going to be taken to court once they come out. Oh yeah, it's just EPA.
Forget about it, as
goes
Italians say. Forget about it.
Yeah, but I think now they'll see some more stipulations on the use, so they're going to have to watch out for more drifts and things like that. So it'll come, this EPA announcement, like any week now. It's going to come with more restrictions on the use of dicamba. So we're going to have to look at that. And of course, then states have some of their own restrictions. So we're going to have to look into individual states too. And as I already said, there'll be lawsuits, pushback, and ongoing controversy once it comes out. But I would tell that producer now, you're going to have the use of dicamba for 2026, but watch your restrictions.
Okay, very good. Folks, you're watching Mr. Jim Wiesemeyer, Wiesemeyer's Perspectives. This is the Ag Bill Podcast. I am Tommy Grisafi. This is where I go ask you a favor. I'd really love for you to click like and subscribe on all our socials. That's X, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Hell, I'm even on TikTok. Speaking of TikTok, President Trump's meeting with the Z as we speak. We did see a shoot up in soybeans. They had since come down with that, but Mr. Jim Wiesemeyer, he is an easy man to get a hold of. His newsletter is free. Why he's so generous, I have no idea, but he is a generous man. Right here, Jim Wiesemeyer. If you email Wiesemeyer at Gmail, WIESEMEYER, every other letter's an E minus the I, and I got that son of a gun memorized. I can even spell perspectives also. You didn't use any big words other than that this week that threw me off kilter. But by the way, my mom and dad love watching the show, and we don't get along on politics at all. But my mom and dad love watching the show, and my dad and my mom said he is just a ray of sunshine. He tells it how it is, and
I'm an equal opportunity finger pointer when it comes to the political parties. Let me tell you.
Right. So what I forgot to tell you was they watch it when they're having a hard time sleeping. But no, just kidding. Hey, a special friend of ours, we got to give a shout out to Tyne Morgan. I believe it's her birthday, folks. If you know Tyne on social media, give her a big. She's one of the good ones out here in ag.
Yes.
Okay, we got to talk about a couple other things real quick. Real proud of this. Myself, Joe Grisafi, Gina Grisafi. We got the new website up, www.agbull.com, for you folks listening on the interweb. Jim's show's free. I'm always sending it out to the world for free, but we're creating other shows with other people, and people are willing to pay for information, Jim. People are willing to pay for a text service, right? We text you when the market's moving. If something big happens, listen, folks, you go out there, you grow the damn crop. We'll text you when something happens. We'll text you suggestions for cash sale advice. We'll tell you if the cash markets are changing, and we'll give you that intel that we're proud to produce. And we do that with our good friends behind me, Nesvik Trading Group. Anything?
And a lot of my
Yes,
friends,
sir?
Tommy, have asked me, why did you hook up with Tommy? What's it? I said, he's quality stuff.
Well,
He's
thank you.
quality. So
Speaking of
I
quality
believe it.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah. So I
Um,
like that. And
well, thank
plus
you.
the Ag
Thank you.
Bull. You didn't call
Thank you.
yourself Ag Bear. So I
No,
like Ag
no.
Bull.
I bought this domain name like 15 years ago. I was on GoDaddy and I bought AG Bull, and I didn't know what I was ever going to do with it. And then when I started a podcast,
Bingo.
it's a good domain. Real
It
quick,
is.
if you're not comfortable talking about this, don't talk about it. But I'm comfortable talking about it. Jimmy Kimball. People say he lost his First Amendment rights. That's complete bullshit. He can have a podcast and he could live stream today. And as you see what happened over the years, the 2016 election, the 2020 election, the 2024 election, he did not lose his Twitter account. He hasn't been kicked off social media. He still has his right to express his opinion, but not for Disney Corp. What's Wiesemeyer's perspective?
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I remember years ago there used to be a FCC requirement that you had to be balanced on TV. Well, I don't know
Yeah.
what year. I'm going to have to do some research on that. They got rid of that, and that's when all hell broke loose, Tommy.
Yeah,
A comedian should be funny.
that's correct.
And I would behoove the viewers and listeners to go listen to what Jay Leno, class act
I
guy,
watched that clip last night.
says.
I
Stay out of.
watched it.
You can be balanced on
Go before
politics.
him. Go Johnny Carson. What was Johnny Carson's
Johnny
view?
Carson, same way,
He
same
even
way.
got specific. He said if a comedian's getting involved in politics, it's bad, and it's happened since he's passed.
Well, it's just like entertainers. Why would you want to lose half of your audience, especially singers, when you get one group? Because we're a 48 to 52% country right now. Why would you want to upset half of your potential audience? That's just dumb.
Right.
You can have balance, but I think comedians should be funny.
Mm-hmm.
Be
Yeah.
a Seinfeld type of a person, and there's very few comedians out there that can skirt this line anymore, and they'll come
Yep.
back. But again, First Amendment rights, as you said, we have tools for that. I think he was going to be fired anyway, to tell you the truth.
His
That's the
ratings are
drill.
down. Yeah,
His ratings were down.
his ratings were down, and the advertisers weren't happy with it.
Yeah.
With that, we've went long enough. I will say you mentioned Seinfeld, and Seinfeld has become extremely vocal on the Israeli Palestine. But if we go down that rabbit hole, I might not let myself on my own show. What the hell?
It's a cruel world out there at many different levels. That's why every time when I used to travel a lot more internationally, I kissed the tarmac when I came back to the United States. Not that other countries are not fun to tour, but I love this country, and we have far more freedoms than if you go to a number of other countries. So that's why I think it should be a requirement for school to go to some of these countries to see that the United States is not one of the best, is still the best country in the world.
Absolutely. Folks, if you've enjoyed the show, shoot Jim Wiesemeyer an email. It's right there at the bottom of the ticker. He's an easy man to get a hold of. His content is the best in the industry. Tommy Grisafi coming to you from Valparaiso, Indiana today. Mr. Jim Wiesemeyer. Folks, if you want to continue listening to Jim, head over to AgriTalk. I think he's going to go kick ass and take names over there.
Yeah, in about 20 minutes.
All right, let me find the button that gets us out of here. Jim, I really like the way you ended that show. America is the best country in the world.
Absolutely.
And I'm bullish agriculture. See you, buddy.
See you.